February 1959. Deep in the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union, 9 experienced hikers pitched their tent on a frozen mountainside. They were young, strong, trained for harsh winter expeditions. By morning, something had gone terribly wrong. Their tent would later be found cut open from the inside, their belongings left behind, and their footprints leading away into the darkness. What happened that night has remained one of the most unsettling mysteries of the 20th century. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident, and what we actually know about it. The group consisted of 9 students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. Most were in their early 20s. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, was only 23 years old. They were not amateurs. Each member had completed demanding winter hikes before. They carried proper equipment. They understood the risks. Their goal was Mount Otorten, a remote peak in the northern Urals. On January 27, 1959, they began their journey. For days, everything went according to plan. They skied across valleys, climbed ridges, shared jokes, took photographs. The mood in the pictures is calm, even joyful. Nothing suggests fear. Nothing suggests danger. Until February 1st. On the evening of February 1st, the group set up their tent on the slope of a mountain known locally as Kolit-Syakhl. The name translates roughly to Dead Mountain. It sounds ominous, but at the time, it likely meant very little to them. The weather was harsh, around -25 to -30 degrees Celsius. Strong winds, blowing snow. Sometime during the night, something caused them to leave the tent. Not calmly, not in order. The tent was later found cut open from the inside. Their boots were still inside. Their coats, food, equipment. It appeared they left in a hurry, into the freezing darkness, barely dressed. When the hikers failed to return, search teams were sent out weeks later. What they found was deeply unsettling. The tent stood partially collapsed under snow. A line of footprints led downhill, away from the tent, toward a patch of forest. The footprints were not chaotic. They suggested the group walked rather than ran. The first 2 bodies were found beneath a cedar tree. They were barefoot, wearing only underwear. A small fire had been attempted. 3 more bodies were found between the tree and the tent. It appeared they had tried to return. Months later, the remaining 4 hikers were discovered in a ravine under deep snow. These bodies showed more severe injuries. Broken ribs, skull fractures. However, investigators noted an unusual detail. There were no major external wounds consistent with a violent assault. Some injuries were compared to the force of a car crash. Yet there was no evidence of another person being present. No signs of struggle. No weapon marks. Another detail added to the mystery: some soft tissue damage, likely caused by natural decomposition processes in scavenging animals. Though disturbing, forensic experts consider these effects consistent with exposure. Over the decades, many explanations have been proposed. The most widely supported theory today involves a slab avalanche. A compact layer of snow may have shifted, partially collapsing the tent and injuring some members. Fearing a larger slide, the group may have decided to move downhill temporarily. Without proper clothing, even a short delay in those temperatures could become fatal. Another explanation focuses on katabatic winds, powerful downward gusts of cold air that can create sudden, violent conditions. In such chaos, cutting open the tent may have seemed like the fastest way out. Hypothermia also plays a critical role. In advanced stages, victims may experience paradoxical undressing, a tragic physiological response where the body falsely feels overheated. This may explain why some were found without clothing. While theories involving secret weapons or extraterrestrial encounters persist in popular culture, there is no verified evidence supporting them. Modern forensic analysis and a 2019 reinvestigation by Russian authorities concluded that natural forces, most likely an avalanche combined with extreme cold, were responsible. Another possibility considered by some researchers involves military activity in the region. In the late 1950s, the northern Ural Mountains were occasionally used for testing new weapons, including experimental rockets and high-altitude explosives. While the details remain unclear, some of these tests could have produced unexpected shockwaves, strong wind gusts, or sudden snow shifts in the surrounding areas. It's conceivable that hikers caught in such conditions could have been disoriented, injured, or forced to abandon their tent quickly. Family members and witnesses were reportedly restricted from sharing information, and the investigation was tightly controlled. This scenario does not claim to be the definitive cause, only that military testing provides a plausible explanation for some of the unusual injuries, mysterious movements, and the secrecy surrounding the case. It reminds us that, sometimes, human activities intersect with natural hazards in ways that remain hidden for decades. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains unsettling not because it proves the supernatural, but because it shows how unpredictable and unforgiving the mountains can be. 9 skilled young people entered the Ural wilderness with preparation and confidence. And still, something went terribly wrong. Whether it was a sudden avalanche, extreme winds, the effects of hypothermia, or even the unforeseen impact of military tests in a remote area, we may never know the full truth. What we do know is that mystery often arises at the intersection of nature, human activity, and secrecy. And sometimes, the most profound lessons come not from what we can prove, but from what remains hidden between the facts. Thank you for watching.